How could it already be another Tuesday?
Time flies.
It's crazy. Welcome everyone to another episode of Modern Agent Blueprint. I'm Lee and my partner in crime, Nicole. Say hi, Nicole.
Hello.
And let's talk about what we have. Who do we have coming up next week, Nicole? Of course, we're making all these snafus, huh?
I know we had a scheduling snafu. This week was supposed to be Robert Courtney Collins, but is that did I say it right? Why am I like second guessing it? I was like, is that the right sequence of names? He was going to be on. He is a social media manager for a lot of huge accounts. And he's going to come on. He was supposed to be on this week. We had a scheduling issue. He's going to be on next week. So join us next week because he's going to be amazing. And then we have some other people. Nikki and I are both going to be doing some Modern Agent Blueprints coming up on social media. And the first week of April, let me look at what that date is.
April 4th.
April 4th, we're going to have Chelsea Pites on. So you guys definitely want to be on for Chelsea because she is incredible. If you've never seen her, if you don't follow her on Instagram, you need to. She's absolutely amazing. So I'm really excited about what we have coming up.
Great. Well, we threw this together at the last minute because we thought we had a cancellation, and it was, of course, my fault because I'm busy trying to do too many things at once. So today we're going to talk about having a virtual assistant and how to utilize your virtual assistant.
Well, so the reason why this came up, and I thought this was the perfect time for this, because every time when Nikki and I did Level Up, we, excuse me, I have a little bit of a cold. When Nikki and I did Level Up, we had a lot of people message us afterwards asking about what's a VA? What does that mean? How does a VA work? Like when I explained it, they were, all these people, a lot of people didn't even know what a VA was or a virtual assistant was. So I decided, this would be a perfect topic to chat about and to talk about how Nikki and I kind of banded together and are using our VA. We have Charisse on, who is Julie and Lee's VA, and hopefully Darla, Nikki and my VA will be able to hop on. She was having some connection issues with getting on Zoom. So we're going to try and talk to her too, but we'll utilize Charisse for the time being because she's been an amazing asset to Lee and Julie and to our team. So we're going to ask her some questions, and you guys, this is going to be pretty laid back. I don't have a PowerPoint. Do we even call it a PowerPoint anymore? I don't know. I just think I just aged myself.
Canva.
Yeah, I don't think I have a presentation for you guys today, but we're going to just chat about how we use our VA, how Lee and Julie use Charisse, and, different ways. We'll talk to Charisse a little bit about how to hire people, how to know who's going to be a good fit for you, who's not going to be a good fit for you, how paying them works. We're not going to get into specifics about what Charisse makes or what my VA makes, but we're going to talk about how that all works because I know that's a point of concern for a lot of people. So figured this was just a great segue. We're going into the busy season and how we can lean on our virtual assistants to help us with our business and taking over some of the things that we don't want to do or don't have the time to do. So Nikki, thanks for coming on today because I was really hoping you were going to be on so we could chat about how we use Darla. Sure. So Lee, do you want me just to hop right in?
Yeah, go right ahead.
So, all right, guys. So basically, a virtual assistant is just a person who you've probably heard of ISAs, inside sales associate, virtual assistant. They are people who help you in your business, and they can be helping you with a multitude of different things. Nikki and I were talking about using a VA. We were talking about how, first I was looking for one, she was looking for one, and I didn't have the capacity to take somebody on full time. And I didn't even want to really commit to 20 hours a week because in reality, that's a lot of time. So Nikki and I talked and we were like, hey, what if we just shared a VA? You do 10 hours, I do 10 hours a week, and then we'll just have her split the day. And then, so we started talking to a couple different people. The first VA didn't work out well for us. And I mean, we can go into that if we want to, but, and we can tell you why it didn't work out. And it was a quick transition because we found a fantastic other option for our VA. And she's been with us now. Nikki, has it been 6 months?
Since October. So however long that is.
October, November, December, January, February, March, 6 months. So she's been with us for 6 months and she's been fantastic. So Nikki, will you just explain how you found Darla?
So I actually had to ask Darla how I found her because I didn't remember. So when the original VA didn't work out, I went on the hunt and joined different VA groups in Facebook. And then I went to LinkedIn and I actually found her on LinkedIn. Well, actually, she found me. So I made a post in this LinkedIn group, and I'll have to look and see what it is. And she was part of it because she used to work for a company that hired out VAs. So she was still in this group. She saw my post, did a little stalking on social media of me, and thought that her and I would be a good fit. So she reached out to me and she actually kind of interviewed me. And then I interviewed her to see what her skills and everything were. She was really good at communicating, which is super important. So that's how we started.
It worked out really well. So I'll tell you guys the backstory about why the other VA didn't work. It was not really anything that was like terrible. It just, she had a lot of things going on in her personal life and kind of ghosted us a couple times in the first week. And we were like, okay, maybe our expectations weren't, communicated well, or maybe we just weren't. Like Nikki and I were like, is it us? Did we do something wrong? Like, are we not communicating well? Are we expecting too much? Because we were very open up front. And I think that's one of the most important things about hiring a VA is to really express what you're looking for exactly. So when Nikki and I laid out what we were looking for, I think it was too much. We went through, I should say, I went through and found probably 3 pages of things that we wanted the VA to do. And while I thought we were pretty clear on saying, listen, we don't want all of this right now, but eventually we would love for you to learn some of these things so we can implement your work in some of our other aspects of our business. And I think seeing that list of 3 pages of things we wanted her to do, she kind of just was like, oh God, this is too much for me. So, she ghosted us a couple times and went several days without messaging us. And we were like, this is just not going to work. And she understood and she was very apologetic. And we ended up finding Darla, and she's been awesome since the beginning and very, very good at communicating. We went to her, after this whole experience and said, listen, we just had a breakup with our first VA. How can we do this better? We just don't want any confusion. We don't want you to get scared off. We just have some things that we want, and we want to make sure that you are good at those things and that you are, okay with helping us with these things. And if we're asking for too much, please let us know. Don't just get scared off, because we understand it's going to take time for you to learn some of these other things. And then once you learn those things and you're mastering those things, then we'll have you move on to some other tasks. And she's been fantastic. So Nikki, will you want to tell her or tell everybody kind of what we use her for right now?
Sure. Okay. So when I was looking for a VA, the first thing that I wanted is somebody to really organize my database. So that was first priority. And move it over, since I was moving from one brokerage to EXP, she took care of moving everybody over to KB Core, setting everybody up on drip campaigns and making sure that was good to go, which made it very nice for me because I didn't have to do any of that. So once we conquered the database, she set up an Excel sheet that anytime I have somebody that I want to add to the database, I just put it in there and share it with her, and she makes sure it gets updated as frequently as I needed to. So that was my first priority. Then I realized that she is really good at video editing. So she came up with some ideas as far as videos that I could be doing. And I was like, okay, and I really, at that point, did all my own posting of social media and everything like that. And I kind of gave her a little leeway to show me what she can do. And I loved what she was doing. She had great ideas and did it far more efficiently than I could have, because I'm constantly being interrupted doing other things. So I was like, great. So she started doing video editing, scheduling some posts for me. Now she is doing website updates for me. I wanted to put together a few courses that I could sell from my website, and she took care of figuring all of that out. I just provided her with the content and she figured out how to make it happen. She's pretty much a go-to person. Like, she's great. If she'll figure it out, and if she can't figure it out, she'll say, hey, I need help. I can't figure this out. Maybe you can help me.
Yeah.
So those are,
she did the same for me too. It was like, I was struggling because, I mean, and maybe Nikki, I don't mean to cut you off, but maybe you have the same stuff, because to be honest, Nikki and I really don't even communicate about what we have her doing. We just kind of do our own thing. She says, she's like, okay, I'm going to work for you these hours and you these hours. We'll talk about that in a minute. But, one of the, I'm actually writing down a couple of things I need her to do from what you just said. But one thing I was like, I really need to have a buyer, seller, and relocation tab on my website. So I have a personal website different than KV Core, and it's something that's been on my to-do list forever. And I'm like, man, I just don't have the time to do that. And I was like, duh, why am I not having her do that? So I literally just said, I want a buyer, seller, and relocation tab on my website. She literally messaged me back 2 hours later, was like, it's done, check it out. And I was like, are you kidding me? And I went back and I was like, holy crap. Like, she made a checklist for me. I did give her some of the guides that I wanted to post, and I gave her some ideas of what I wanted. I wanted like a moving checklist and a couple different things. I sent those things to her, and she figured out how to upload them, to create a download. She figured it all out. And I mean, I would say one thing that we found really that's been great with Darla personally is that she's a go-getter, and she's a kind of does her own thing. She's a self-starter. So even if I don't give her something to do, she's figuring out what we need. Like, she figured out that I had no SEO on my website. So she was like, we need to fix this. You need to start ranking. So she went in there and started messing with the SEO. So, and that's not something that every VA knows. So, these are things that you're going to have to figure out and make sure that the person that you're hiring is going to be the person that you need for each job. And it might look different. Like, you might need 2 VAs. If you want somebody to call people, that's going to be more an ISA, but there are VAs who do that too. So like, I think Charisse, did you introduce me to the guy who was going to do the cold calling?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And then I decided I didn't want to do that. So then I was like, sorry, that was my bad. I jumped in that way too fast before I was ready to go. Donna was asking where, she just logged in and asked where we found her. Nikki said that she found Darla in a LinkedIn group. Yeah. And then Charisse, where did Julie and Lee find you, or how did you guys meet?
Yes, same with you guys. I also have a business page. So Lee came across my business page, and then he asked me, can you tell me more about your business? So I don't want to go around the bush. So I asked him, hi Lee, thank you for reaching out. I'm a virtual assistant, and I usually provide help with different entrepreneurs with various admin tasks. Do you have a few minutes to jump in via Zoom call? So I'm very direct. So I want to talk to the person so I would be able to know how I could help them. And the best part when I started with Lee was, it was a very easy task. So it was like a voting poll for their daughter. So
That was so funny.
yeah.
I love it. That was hilarious.
Yes, and then
Nobody even understands what that meant. Let's really quick just help people
Yeah,
understand.
so
Julian Lee's daughter was in this competition online for like, what was it, like best soccer player or something?
player of the year.
yeah, but let me like frame the whole story. So there's my daughter was like voted, she was like first team all-state defensive player of the year. So she's like a lot of awards. And then the local newspaper was having this contest, and my daughter was winning the contest, and all of a sudden some freshman girl that didn't even play, her and her girlfriend started voting for her and nonstop. So she took over like a huge lead. So we were like, I think it was more Julie. Julie was like she was so competitive. She's like, we're not gonna let her win. So we all started voting, and then I engaged Charisse. I'm like, okay, Charisse, we're gonna win this contest. And so we had like, I think we had like 27,000
Yeah.
votes.
Charisse, not only was
You and
Charisse voting, she had her
I
whole
think-
family voting. And what would
Yes.
happen is,
Yeah,
because
I
she's a 12-hour difference, so
Yeah.
we would be behind. Everyone in the US goes to bed. And then in the morning, like we had taken this commanding lead again, because all
Yeah.
family voting, at, in
Did
12-hour
she end up
difference.
winning? Did she end up winning?
She did.
Yes, yes.
She
She
did.
But the funniest thing was Charisse sent a photo of her kids on their iPads voting.
That is so
And it
funny.
was
The point
the cutest
is,
thing.
whatever you
I
need
still
your
have that
VAs
photo.
to do, they will do,
Yeah.
right?
And
Well, within
then
reason.
I just told
Oh.
them, hey, if she wins, pizza's on me. So let's go.
I thought that was so funny. It was awesome.
I think Cherie's got a bonus for that task.
Yeah.
if I remember
Yeah.
correctly.
Yeah. So
Anyway,
yes. So Charisse does for us. She handles, like, she'll take, after this call's done, she'll take the video, she'll edit it, put it on our YouTube channel, our Modern Agent Blueprint YouTube channel. When we did our yearly business plan, Charisse was on, she took notes, and she actually filled out, I think we had one of our guests, we actually went through their whole business plan, and she actually filled out the plan
yeah,
for
she
them.
takes notes on during the
And
Zooms, during the
she
training.
submitted the final plan. So she does all those things, helps with our website, helps edit videos. And I think that the biggest thing of having a virtual assistant is you need to be willing to give up. Like, a lot of people are like, want to really hold on to everything and try to do everything.
I just think,
okay.
in my opinion, it's the delegation. I don't think
Yes.
it's necessarily wanting to hold on to it. It's just knowing how to delegate it. Maybe you don't. Yeah, it doesn't take a lot to delegate. Like Nicole said, she just told Darla, hey, add these tabs. And now Darla is on to even things that weren't even requested of her. So I think it doesn't take a lot to give instruction. You can just tell them what to do and have them run with it. But it's just trying to, keep them busy too. Like, I see how Nicole and Nikki are sharing, because sometimes you're like, I'm so busy, I can't delegate. Like, I'm too busy to delegate, and that way it helps to
Right.
have more than one person responsible for the VA's task, like Lee and I, and then, Nikki and Nicole. So I think it works really well to share
Right.
a VA.
And the worst thing that you guys can do is spend hours on something that you're not good at. Like, and that happens all the time, where you're trying to do this task, and that if you had an assistant or someone else that could do that for you, it would make it go so much smoother and quicker. And
Right.
a lot of times we're our own worst enemy with things like that. And so when we brought in Charisse, for the first 30 days, we would just do a 10 or 15-minute Zoom meeting every morning, and we would just set expectations. And now, Charisse, you already know what you need to do, and you just do it. Like, I don't even have to ask any questions. It just gets done automatically.
Yeah. And that's what I was saying with Darla, which she's on now, by the way. So I'm so happy that she was able to get on. That's what we were saying earlier. It's like, we can give her tasks, but if we don't, and I'll be honest, I'm terrible about delegating tasks to her. And sometimes she'll be like, hey, do you have anything for me? And I'll read the message, but I'll be driving, and then I'll forget to message her, and she'll just message me a couple hours later, and she'll say, here's what I did. So she's been great in that aspect. So Darla, thank you for hopping on here. How are you? You good now? You got your internet working?
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me? Hi, everyone. I'm so sorry for being late.
You're totally fine. We had Charisse on too. So she's been kind of talking a little bit about how she's been helping Julian Lee and the Lux Group. So I'm so glad you're on. So I'm kind of sad you missed how much we were talking about how awesome
No,
you've
I've
been.
been here for a few minutes now, so I
Okay.
did actually hear Charisse give her statements and everything. So I'm
Awesome.
good.
Yeah, she's been really good. So one of the things like Nikki wanted to do right before Christmas, she did like the 12 days of Christmas like listings. So she just sent a bunch of snippets, voiceovers over to Darla. Darla created these beautiful videos and had them ready to go. She's been scheduling content for us. So Nikki and I both actually have Coffees and Contracts subscriptions, which is, I don't know if most of you probably know what it is. If you don't, it's a content creation site. So they create a month's worth of content for you, give you all of the captions and everything, and you just kind of drag and drop your photos. So we both have subscriptions to that. So we have her just log in. She creates all of our content for us. We've been utilizing ChatGPT a lot and having her go in and change some of the captions around just so they're a little bit different, so then Nikki and I aren't posting the same things. And she's done a really, really good job of Nikki and I not posting the same thing. So we're not in the same market. So for anybody who knows, I'm in Michigan, she's in Ohio. So we're about 45 minutes apart, separate states. So, completely separate markets. So even if we had the same content, only other realtors who know us would know that. But it's great because we don't really have overlapping content either. So Darla, will you just, you sent me that long thing that was super informative. Do you mind going over that, what you were talking about earlier?
Sure. So what you guys need to know as for hiring virtual assistants, we can actually be really helpful, as Lee and Julie do take advantage of her skills or Chaz's skills. We are capable of doing things like admin tasks. So a virtual assistant can actually assist a realtor with various administrative tasks, such as scheduling appointments, managing emails, and responding to phone calls. So for me, Nicole actually has an extension of her personal phone number that I use to dial out, which is not something that I have to do on a daily basis, but I do go ahead and take advantage of some of her leads. And because I'm also doing lead generation and handling KV Core for her at times, whenever there's something and I know that she's too busy to respond, I go ahead and respond for her, and I make sure that the response goes directly to her cell phone and not my central or my extension. So that's something that you guys can take advantage of. We actually started paying for that and found out that, hey, EXP actually provided it to you guys for free. But yeah.
I still need to try
So,
to get a refund on that Ring Central.
yeah.
Put that down on my notes here.
We invested like a year's worth of that, and I found out when I was with Nikki, and I'm like, so why do you have Ring Central? And she's like, no, it's free. I'm like, oh, so why are we paying for it on Nicole's
Yeah.
end?
That was my
I was
bad.
like, that's a good question. I don't know. It just showed up free
I
with
got
EXP.
really like
and I was
shocked.
like, yeah.
I had to talk to a sales lead and everything, but no. Yeah. Okay. Another thing that we are capable of doing is lead generation. So a virtual assistant can help realtors generate leads by performing online research, contacting potential clients via email or phone, and also following up with leads to schedule appointments. Something that I did notice with both of them is a lot of you guys have your personal websites, and with your personal websites, I did also realize that Google is very important to you guys, like Google rates or rankings and all of that, like for you to maintain 5 stars or at least 4.8, 4.7. And that's something that I am doing really good with maintaining for both of them. Mainly it is all because of you guys are not really easily found on Google because of SEO. SEO opportunities that you guys have on your personal websites, and that doesn't count for the EXP, like the Nicole Elizabeth or Nicole Yeager or Nicole Wolf at .exp.com. It only counts for the personal ones that you guys provide and pay for your own domains on. So just an FYI for everyone who's wondering why your Google's not working. I could bet like my whole salary that it's because your SEOs are off. So that means like, you know, your Google search, let's say NikkiWolfRealtor.com/ and then every page should always have a certain, you know, like it's home or partner with Nikki. It actually should be configured that way. And every image that you upload on your personal websites, that's an opportunity to be found on Google. And a lot of VAs aren't really aware of that. But I found out the hard way that it's actually so whenever you're uploading, let's say we're uploading something for the Lux website, we should be uploading that image with keyword opportunity. Let's say the Lux or houses for sale in Michigan. Even though it's for the Lux, at least when someone Googles houses for sale in Michigan, they find us. Does that make sense? Yeah, I hope I'm making sense.
No, it
So,
does.
yeah.
That makes perfect sense.
So yeah, I also do social media management for both of them, and that's with, I only handle Facebook for Nicole. It really depends. You should provide your VA all of the access that you're comfortable with, basically. So Nicole prefers me to step away from her Instagram, which is something that I definitely respect, but everything else like her LinkedIn, all of that. I don't do Twitter personally. I don't know.
I don't
know
do
what
Twitter either, so you're good there.
I don't do Twitter. So that's something I'm not really skilled at. Twitter, I don't know. It's something that I also like. We had the town sites, well, you know, introduction. I'm like, they're asking me for Twitter. I don't do that. Just to let you know, Nikki, just to let you know, Nicole, I don't do that. Things like that. So yeah, also database management. So a virtual assistant can also help a realtor manage their client database by updating contact information, tracking client preferences and interests, and managing client communications. This is something that I learned a lot from when Nikki moved to Nikki moved. So I grabbed everything and had to file it and organize it so that we can upload it to EXP, to KV Core properly. And so far so good. Everything is doing good with on that end. It's really important that you guys make sure that when hiring a virtual assistant, like Lee did mention earlier, you are definitely also committed to letting go. Something that you have to actually, you know, you're going to be paying us basically you're paying for more time for yourself. That's what I learned. So if you're going to be like, you know, what is it, micromanaging us, don't hire us, because basically, unless of course you notice that your VA is kind of, if you know, you're kind of sus about your VA that they're not doing anything, then you can go ahead and micromanage. And if you're noticing that nothing's happening, then of course go ahead and start asking more questions. But when when you find that you're at a point that you're actually really comfortable with them, it's not necessary. You could just let us know that what you need to happen. Communication is really important. Just let us know if you have a project, a deadline, what to expect. In the past, Nikki had to ask me to Nikki had to ask me to do things like, hey, can you make a post for this? All she does now is, hey, I have a closing. Here's the picture. Here's the thing. I'm closing at 4, and I schedule. That's automatically, you know, that's our communication. Just so what house is closing now? Things like that. It's really important that you let us know, so that you know, we can go ahead and do that for you, so that you can have that extra 10 minutes to yourself. Basically, what else are we being paid for than to help you and make sure that you guys have more time? It's all about basic work-life balance. So, you know, as a realtor, I'm sure that you guys are aware, and of course, you guys all have more extracurricular things like Lux and all of that. So that even adds more time on your plate that you could actually spend to yourself rather than doing anything else.
Awesome. So there was, and you were talking about in the, what you were talking about sorry, I'm going through what you were just talking about, all of that. I mean, let me just ask you, does anybody have questions right now about any of the stuff that she just talked about? Anybody, you could come off mute or post in the chat if anybody has any questions for either Charisse or Darla. Not yet. So let me tell you guys, so Nikki and I, we do 20 hours a week and then we split it 10 and 10. So Nikki and I've just kind of decided that Nikki will take the morning and I will take the afternoon. So Darla is, you know, a lot of the time you guys swap your time schedules, right? So like you actually work on our time schedule. So she's on Eastern time right now. So is Charisse. So they will work during the night and then sleep during the day. I don't know how you guys do it, but you're our heroes. But so they work on our schedule. So we tell them, hey, from Nikki, she's going to be from 8 to noon. She takes a lunch, and then from 1 to 4, she works with me every day. And she does her stuff. She gives us the end of the day report. In the beginning, I think we did more of like a, you know, start of the day, end of day. Now she does her thing. We don't really need her to update us too much on all of that. She still does give us a report at the end of the day of what she's finished. It's really helpful. I know one of the questions that I got a lot was, how do you pay? Excuse me. Darla gave us a couple different options on how do we pay. So we go through a company called Wise. You just connect your bank account to it. Darla gave us her like information. We put everything in there and then we just pay her. It comes up, you choose your US dollars, you choose their Filipino dollars, or Philippine dollar. I don't know what you guys call them there. But it converts it for you. So I put in what we owe and then it pays her automatically right through the site. And we just pay like a $3 charge for like an ACH transaction. So it's super easy to do that. It's a good website, no issues with that. Sarah, you have a question?
Good morning. Thanks for
Hi.
doing this. It's so timely. This is exactly what I needed right now. A
Perfect.
couple of questions. Yeah, thank you. So a couple of questions. The first one is, have you guys considered doing CMAs? And if so, or if not, because it doesn't sound like that's been part of your purview. And so I'm just curious why, how come? And is that something that you think that could be used or could be done? And then the second one is, and this is, I don't know that this is a great question to ask when there's 60 people on the call, but do you have anybody that you know personally that you can personally recommend as a VA?
Okay,
Because
I can answer.
obviously that's, I think, gonna like help, if you already know what the skills are needed and you already know somebody's work ethic, that's gonna cut out a lot of the difficult part.
Okay, I'm actually starting CMAs for Nikki. Again, all you guys have to do is let us know. She's gonna be training me more further, in detail of what I need to do. But every day she tells me I have to do CMAs now. I hate it. Okay, why don't you teach me? I told her, why don't you teach me so that whenever I have downtime, I can do that. And whenever I wanna, take a break from whatever I have to do in the morning. Let's say I edit videos for her all the time, and sometimes, my brain, I have like a huge brain fart and like I don't know what to do anymore. Like I'm running out of ideas. So whenever I run into that kind of situation, then we can do CMAs, and that's what my plan is for her. And I'm not sure about Nicole if that's gonna happen as well. But
Man, if you're learning it, I'm gonna have you do it because I don't like doing them either.
yeah, she hates them. She hates them. She always tells me at the end of the day, a good thing about hiring VA as well is like we're basically your best friend on the other side of the world. So I know her, like, I rant all of my BS, my life BS to her, and she rants hers, and I tell her. So every day before we say goodbye, all I hear from you is, I have to do CMAs. I have to go, I have to do CMAs. And I'm like, I want to do CMAs. So why does she hate it so much when, I don't know, is it that time consuming? Because I actually was really trained for real estate. So I know the transaction coordination process from start to finish. And due to my experience, I've been in all aspects, like every side of the process, the transaction, well, titles, lending, all of that. So I know what's happening on their end. This doing videos, handling the KV core, handling, small tasks like that. It's fun compared to having to beg a ground searcher or vendor for a title so that we can close. I don't know. It's something that I find more interesting, and it changes every day. It changes depending on, my suggestions, because it's really up to us on what we do. Everything is all we have, more tasks to do, and if you get bored, well, you can't really get bored being a VA. If you're getting bored being a virtual assistant, that means you're not doing your job, because you guys have so many opportunities for me to, like, explore. I explore listings and explore this and explore that, and then post it and just post it, and edit your websites, all of that. It really depends on, as well as, I think I'm just really lucky that Nicole and Nikki also trust me with all of that information, like all of their personal information and all of their logins. I mean, if I didn't, and I was just stuck as an ISA, like the dialer, I probably would have lost my mind and resigned like five.
Right?
It's,
Well,
I can't.
so the other thing, and I know I've heard a lot of people say this, like, oh, I don't want somebody from the Philippines because they're going to have an accent and nobody's going to want to talk to them. But like, you can hear both Charisse and Darla both have really good English. And that was one of the things that you and you had talked about in this, is that English is widely spoken in the Philippines. And I mean, you do have a slight accent, but I'm sure we have an accent too. And, all of us have different accents. So I think, the communication has been good. You guys, in my opinion, both you and Charisse, from the conversations I've had with all of you, there's really no miscommunication, maybe a couple of terms that you've never heard before, but it's been really easy to work with. And the cost savings, when you hire an ISA or a VA out of the US, you're paying substantially more. So Darla, Donna, I see you have your hand up. We'll come to you in just a minute. Do either of you want to chat about like the pay scale, or like how that all works, or how do you judge what you pay a VA? Did you hear me? Sorry. Oh, Darla, I can't hear you.
Oh no, I think
Oh.
Donna has a question. I see her
Oh.
hand is up, so I didn't
Sure.
really say anything. Sorry.
Donna, do you want to ask your question and then we can go back?
It'll probably go into what you just asked as well, but you mentioned about 20 hours per week. Is that what and this is something that always, besides the fact of looking to what questions to ask, I've done all kinds of trainings and I'm still like hesitant on moving forward with it, but a lot of the trainings are saying that they want more than 20 hours per week. And that's probably all I would need, I guess. And even if I did split it with someone, 10 hours would be sufficient too. So that, along with pay, do you find that 20 hours isn't enough?
So that goes to you, both of you guys. You're Donna, so you're asking the VAs if 20 hours is really enough, or are they looking for like a full-time thing?
Full-time, I guess. And I think all the trainings that I've been on, they really push on that full-time. That's what they want. That's what they want. And it's like, well, gosh, that seems like a lot to me, because I don't know if I would want someone all them
Can I
hours.
ask a question as well?
Yeah, go ahead.
Donna, this goes to you. Were you hiring or looking through agencies doing that?
I was doing a training through Online Jobs PH, I think it was like that, and which was a lot of good information. And then there was a couple people who had reached out to me from LinkedIn, and again, I was just like, I kind of hold off because it's like, well, if they want full time, I'm not sure if I definitely have enough work for them to do it, but do I want, I didn't think I needed full
that much
time
of expense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
and yeah.
One thing that I could actually say is when I spoke to Nikki first, I also said that. I also told her I'm looking for a full-time job. it's not because we want to take all, you know, we don't want to be, well, personally, I always tell Nikki and Nicole, I don't want you to spend too much on like, you know, extra things like extra apps or extra premiums, because I find that, you know, we're all working and doing everything that we do to feed our family and to put, you know, bread on the table, basically, right? So as much as you want to make money, I want you to make money as well, and
Mhm.
maintain that you have the financial capability, because your success is basically going to be my success. Your success means I still have my job. That's the way I look at it. So when you're looking for a virtual assistant and they actually mentioned that, you may have to go ahead and explain that you don't think it's necessary, that you're going to be taking in 8 hours a day, especially in the beginning when you're still going to be, you know, testing the waters, and you're not going to be even be aware of what they are capable of doing. So I don't think that's fair on your end as well. I will state that I have worked through agencies, and I understand if you guys are not really interested in paying full time, because agencies do push really hard for you to hire virtual assistants for 8 hours a day, and it's actually more expensive to hire half day agencies per hour. I'm sorry, half day virtual assistants per hour if you only pay them for 4 hours a day compared to 8. And I think it's just a scam. Well, basically, I think it's a scam to you guys, and it's also a scam to us, when we all know that there are months that the real estate industry is going to be slow, and we all know that the market is not always as high, or everything is happening all at once. There are months that, like, let's say November and December, we had really good sales, but when it came to the end of the month, end of December, I was trying to dial for people, and of course, everyone's not going to be focusing on what's happening in the housing market. Come on, everyone's focusing on how they're going to get all of their gifts wrapped, and how they're going to go ahead
Yeah.
and buy things for their families, and that's just why you don't need to, you know, focus on 8 hours. All you need to do is make sure that they understand your end, and I'm sure that if you go ahead and talk to people like I'm sorry, Nicole, I forgot the other girl's name. The other
Therese,
lady's
yeah,
name.
Therese.
with Lee and I, when we
Yeah.
first connected, we were on an onboarding call, and then he discussed with me that he needs someone who would be able to work with him for 20 hours, which is really which would be perfect for me, because I also have some other side hustles. So it would really depend on your conversation with your future VA. So if you feel that there would be like a need for you to increase those hours, you can let them know during the onboarding call, and you would just feel it when you hire your VA. You would be able to see their potential, and that would be also good for them, because as you see their potential and their capabilities, then you would be able to like delegate more things for them to do, and that would increase their hours working with you.
And
Yeah,
I'm not
and then-
wanting someone who I can, like, you know, I don't need you now, I don't need you, you know, and on and off. I want someone consistent. And even on those times when those months that it may be slow, there's always something that can be done. And I'm
Yeah.
all about, like, you know, if someone's doing like what you girls are doing, the little extras and everything, I'm all about, like, here's a bonus, here's this, you know, we all need to take care of each other. So there's to have someone consistent and doing, I mean, all the stuff that you ladies are talking about is just like, it's like, oh.
Well,
So-
I think that like what they're saying too is, you know, even though these agencies are pushing for full time, ask the VA if they're willing to do part time.
If they even want it full
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, because I mean, like I've had conversations with Darla where I've said, hey, you know, I had somebody reach out to me and they are interested in potentially hiring you. Would you be interested? And she's like, or I think I said, do you have anybody? She's like, me. What are you talking? Me? Like, I don't want to give this away. Let me do it. So, which I've had a couple people message me already asking Darla if you have any more time available. And I'm like, oh gosh, I don't know. We'll have to talk afterwards. But okay, Lisa, or I'm sorry, Ryan, you had your hand up first. Ryan, do you want to ask your question?
Yep. Hi.
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
Hi.
All right.
I had two questions. One of them I put in the chat. What are the limits? Because I do have a VA and I love her and I do have struggles filling her time. But what are the limits? Of course, she's not a Georgia licensed realtor. So what can she not do? And then two, did you have any sort of or put together any sort of a training manual? I heard Darla say, well, let's add this as far as CMAs, things like that. Did you put together any sort of a training manual or at least a list of tasks that were hers? Because I was a bit concerned, especially about the farming, with Darla saying she was calling out what can and can't be done as far as licensure.
Yeah, so
So
we did, oh, I'm sorry, Darla. What I was gonna say is we came up with a very extensive list in the beginning, but we have not, I don't even know that we've done all of those things on that list. In fact, I'd have to go back and look at that list even. I was actually going to when in December and stuff in January, when things were a little bit slower, I was like, oh man, I need more stuff for her to do. And that's when she kind of popped in and was like, well, what if I did this and this? And it ended up working out really well. We have her, so she will call some of my leads that I have in KV Core. So people who have already opted in for stuff in my KV Core. So she will follow up with them. And a lot of times she's messaging directly from KV Core. How often are you calling them, or not very often?
it really depends. I call them at least a few times a week. I don't do everyone. I can't do everyone. I know that for a fact, especially for you all, all of you guys who are and have been in the real estate industry for the longest time, your contacts are going to drive me nuts. I told Nicole that I see 900 contacts here, and that's only from this year and last. I don't even know how I'm going to start doing any of it. So if I find, let's say, a lead that asked the question within the last 6 months, and I see that the house that they asked for, or I pull their information off and I see that they still haven't purchased the house, I find them on social media easily, because it's easy to do that if you're using KV Core or any of your personal websites. So they your websites grab that information for you anyways. I do that and make sure that it's actually someone that's potentially going to be able to talk to me, and then I go ahead and try to contact them. If they're not interested, then they're not interested. If they say put me on the do not call list, and then don't call. I guess we
Yes.
don't call them. I'm not going to try to be too pushy about any of that. I think the limits of it is, I don't think that we are authorized to sign like DocuSigns for you all. I don't think that's, I personally wouldn't do it either for Nicole or Nikki on like Dotloop or on, I wouldn't finish the transaction for you guys. That's something that I personally wouldn't do. When I added, like, Nikki has a class that she started, like courses she's selling now on her website. I told her, you have to be on Zoom with me. I don't want to make payments for you. It's my personal preference, but it also is me saving my own beep from being questioned in case she finds a questionable transaction on her like bank statement. I don't want to be, not me, not doing that for her. Things like that. I don't think it's professional for us to be processing that type of information for you. Everything that we need is and should be on auto pay. And then I could remind you about a payment that's going to be processed in a bit, like your domain is going to be renewed in a month. I'm just letting you know that your transaction, or let's say your Canva didn't get paid this month, I need it. Things like that. But for me to have that information, and for me to have all of your bank information, that's something I'm not interested in.
Yes, and when
I don't
you
want
also hire a VA, you should also have your goals to get started with. So you have to first think, like you have to also organize what you want them to do in the first place. So when I started with Lee and Julie, Julie wanted to have all her contacts organized. So being with EXP, a lot of you are using multiple CRMs. So you have SkySlope, you have ZBuyer, you have KV Core, you have Line Desk. So those are the initial things that realtors wanted to have their VAs to get started with when hiring one. And when all your database are organized, then you can move on with the next task. And then the best part of being a VA is we are not just like a regular like employee or whatnot. We also see things ahead. So we also observe how our clients are doing, what help they usually need help with, like and we also like be their alarm clock sometimes, so we give out our suggestions and we take their businesses as our own also, because as Darla mentioned earlier, when you succeed, we also succeed too, and that's how we sometimes gauge our successes also.
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, like Darla has come to me and said, hey, this is coming up, what do you want me to do for that? And like right now, Julie and I and a couple other people, I don't know if they're on this call, were at an event the other day, and they were talking about their quarterly stuff that they do for their clients, their quarterly reach outs, touches with their clients. So I was like, you know what? It's a little too, I actually had them out. I normally have my, I've hit the jackpot with, you as a client, but I'm like, I've done it the last 3 years in a row. I'm not going to do that again. So this time I had Darla create me a cute little postcard. I found something that I liked. I sent it to her and I was like, can you make this, but have peeps on it, and then of course I was like, do you know what peeps are? Do you guys have peeps in the Philippines? Do you know what those are? So I'm like, do you know what that is?
We don't have it here, but yeah.
I was like, can you make me like a cute card so I can send that out to my clients? So she was like, sure. So she made that all up, sent me the stuff. And now I didn't have to spend 2 hours creating that thing for her. So like thinking ahead. So that's something that like I'm going to work with her a little bit more on, is making sure that, we are ahead of the curve here. So when we're in Q2, we're thinking of Q3 instead of me being right now in Q2, thinking of Q2 for pop buys or mailers or anything that I'm going to do. I'm going to work with her on making sure we're more thinking ahead even more. Lisa Taylor, you have a question or a comment?
Yeah, question. Hi. So I do have a VA. I actually do share it with another realtor, and she does all our social media. And we got her from Online Jobs, and we do payback with Wise too. It's cheaper than PayPal. But my question is, I found a lot of the people with Online Jobs. I mean, this girl that we have is great, but has no. Everyone seems to be new. Everyone seems to just have got a certificate. So you ladies are there. Can you tell me, like, how do I want to find someone who's able to go into my database? And I used to have someone who did that actually, and then she had more babies and she quit working in the Philippines. But I need to find someone, like, how do I find someone and know that they are who they say they are on paper, and it's not just some fabricated thing? Because I've had a lot of, I lucked out with this one finally, but I've had like a lot of bad luck with them. So how do we know what they're telling us is the truth?
Well, same goes with when you're looking for an item. Using the right keyword may help you win your perfect VA. Like if you're looking to work with someone who knows how to use a specific CRM, you can probably hire someone via social media posts, like saying, I'm looking for a real estate VA with a specific experience with this CRM.
So you could just put something on Facebook rather than go into this Online Jobs, or I mean, how else do I find somebody that's not through a company?
Well,
and I know Online Jobs is still freelance, but where do you guys go to find?
Nikki posted that she found hers where she found Darla was LinkedIn. Philippine Virtual Assistant for Hire. That's a group in LinkedIn. But what else? Where else can people find awesome VAs like you girls?
There are a few different platforms such as Fiverr, Upwork, Online Jobs PH, and there is a specific Facebook group. It's called Real Estate Virtual Assistant Group. Let me just check it via Facebook. Hold on.
And so the other thing that, I thought was great, and the one thing that I did with Darla was I said, hey, listen, this is what I'm looking for. If you are not proficient in this, or you don't know this, or if this is not your forte, just let me know. I'm fine with that. But she was really like, no, I'll learn it. I'll figure it out. Like she had never done anything with KV Core before, and she jumped in and figured it all out. She educated herself. She took several hours the first few weeks watching training videos. I sent her up with some like Sylvia Dana videos, and she went through and watched a bunch of the stuff, watched a bunch of the trainings, and really she was taking those steps to learn those things instead of just saying, no, I don't do it. She took the initiative to say, I'll learn it. And she did a great job. And Nikki, before she joined EXP, she had a completely different CRM. So Darla had learned that entire CRM before Nikki came over to EXP. So she, she was really diving headfirst into both of these systems. And then, now thankfully she only has to deal with one, but it was, great to see her jump right in. But that was one of the things I said, if, do you understand like SEO? Do you know anything about that? She was like, yep, I know some SEO stuff, and just asking those specific questions of where you're trying to go is going to help you, like they were saying, have those goals. But I mean, I don't know, do you girls have any other ideas on how to kind of weed out the people who might not be honest?
The first thing that you would be able to do, or that you should actually really do when someone offers or you're interested in talking to a person, a virtual assistant, or a potential person that you may hire, is hop on a Zoom call like how we did, Nicole, and see what they say first. Don't ask questions, because questions that are asked are, it's basically you're spoon feeding whatever person you're talking to the answers that you're looking for. Does that make sense? So you're basically giving them keywords of answers that you're looking for. So, hey, do you know what KV Core is? Or do you know what this is? Do you know how to do this? If I Google that right now, I could let you know and answer via chat or via email or however else you're doing your initial conversation. Now, if we're on an actual call, how Nikki and Nicole did, Nicole was driving and Nikki was doing, I don't know, she was, she was just doing her daily tasks, and a bird literally hit her window on our first call. But that was like my first impression that, okay, her windows are really clean enough that birds are flying right through them. And things like that. When you meet someone, like you guys are meeting me today for the first time, if they're serious, if they're genuine. You can't tell me that you can't tell if someone is not genuine via video call, even though we're not physically here together. But if someone is lying to you, you're gonna be able to tell, because they're literally gonna be Googling the answer to whatever question you're asking, right? So I think that's something that you can actually go ahead and do. And obviously, you also have to consider that even though someone would be new in the industry, doesn't mean they're not capable. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's just it really depends. I say that there are always two types of people. It's high skill and low will, and low will but high skill. I prefer the low will, low skill but high will, because that's me. Like, I didn't know any of this when I started, but because I want to succeed, I made sure that I don't embarrass myself and disappoint myself and then lose my job. Now, if you're going to be hiring someone that is, you're 100% sure that they're capable of doing every task on your task list, on your to-do list, but the problem with them is their attitude, because they know that all of the skills that they have, and they, are actually skills that other realtors or agencies or brokerages are looking for as well. And they could find you, or they can find another client at any time of day. And that's another issue, right? I'd rather have the person that is scared to lose her job and does everything of her power to make sure that she's doing everything right. And even though it may kind of give you like a 50-50 when we ask too many questions, I think that's a good sign that we're actually wanting to make sure that everything is going right and learn, right?
Yeah. Well, that was one thing that I really liked when Nikki and I got on the call with Darla. She was saying, she just started telling us about herself, her experiences, what she's done before. We really didn't ask her too much until she was kind of done with her spiel on who she is and what she can do for us. And then we started saying, okay, how do you feel about video editing? How do you feel about this? Can you do this? And she then at that point was like, yep, nope, I don't know how to do that, but I'll figure it out, and she was very honest and upfront. Like, we got off the call and Nikki and I talked and we're like, should we just hire her? Because she seems great. So it worked out really well. I saw, oh my gosh, did she hop off the call? I was going to say, I saw Sarah raised her hand, but what other, let me see, was there something else? There was
I'll
something.
jump on real quick. I know, so Darla and I had talked a couple times about assisting other agents who are looking for a VA, because I've had a lot of people approach me. They don't, like you guys, they don't know where to find them. They don't know what tasks to have them do, but they know that they need some help. So her and I kind of talked about tag teaming and assisting people, with training VAs and getting them set up. So, if you guys are looking for a virtual assistant and not really sure where to start, like how I talked about LinkedIn and stuff like that, I know that Darla has some people in mind. I have some people in mind. We both would be happy to help you guys navigate this. You can email either one of us, but if you're leaning towards getting a VA, we'd be happy to help you guys get started.
Yeah, so I've leaned on Darla a few times and Charisse, asking, hey, who do you know who does this? So Nikki, Darla and I have been talking about, helping to kind of navigate this with people. So if anybody, like Nikki was just saying, you can reach out. Nikki, do you want to put your email address in there? And anyone can message Nikki and then we can connect you guys. But this was great. I hope this helps you guys. I know that we have so many people who are looking for quality VAs, and I feel like we got super lucky with Charisse and Darla, and you guys have been a huge asset to our businesses, and we're just so thankful for you guys, both of you. And we've been constantly impressed with what you guys do. I know Charisse is doing a lot of stuff with town sites now with Lee, and just really jumping in on all these things. And it's been great to have, such great people to lean on. So thank you guys so much. Thanks for hopping on. Any last questions before we go? We're a little bit over noon right now. Does anybody have any last questions here?
Myself and another agent that was on here, we're going to reach out to both of you to just get some more insight on where we should, a little bit more about that. This has been awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah,
Awesome.
this is definitely the push that I needed. And I could just like bawl sometimes because it's like, oh my God. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
But it's great when, I wrote down some things that like Darla's doing for Nikki that I was like, oh man, I should have her do that for me. So maybe we need to do another powwow together. The three of us.
I have a question. Do you and Nikki meet together on when you first started and did you Zoom the three of you all the time, or was it separate Zooms?
We did a few in the beginning together, and then kind of went and did our own separate things. So Nikki does a lot of different things than I do. So she kind of has Darla doing some things, but it sounds like I need to touch base with them and see what they're doing, because maybe I want some of that too. But it's been great. I mean, taking some of that stuff off my plate, and even like some of the things I didn't even think about, like the closing graphics, like I just do those, and I don't know why I'm wasting my time when I could just pop it over to her and have her do it and have them all ready to go and take that off my plate. That's one less thing that I need to do, that I'm so used to doing it. And I think that's kind of the case with a lot of us, is we're just so used to doing it all that, I did, like with my Instagram, for instance, I'm very protective of that. Like I want that to be all my specific content. So Darla will she'll just make like cute videos and be like, here, do you want this? And so like, sometimes I'll post it, sometimes I won't. It just depends. But she's taking that initiative to do creative things. And it's some things that maybe I wouldn't even think of. Like she does our newsletters for us. So she sends out newsletters every month to our KV Core contacts. She creates it, sends it to me to check over, see if I want to add anything or change anything. Then she goes back and changes it for me if there's anything I want added or edited. It's just been a really good flow since we started. It's been great. So super appreciative to her.
And then we'll also post in the Modern Agent Blueprint group of how to get in hold of Darla and everything else, because I think that this is something that a lot of the people on this call really need to take a hard look at, because it's really simplified our entire business, having quality people we know and trust that can help us on a daily basis.
Thank you, Sharice. Thank you, Darla.
You're welcome.
Yes.
We're hoping
You
that you'll
guys-
be able to find
Bye.
your VA also.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. It's
Thanks,
been great.
everyone.
We'll see you next week with Robert Courtney Collins. And we're gonna be talking about the 5 C's of real estate. So we'll touch base on that. I don't even know what that means, but it's gonna be awesome.
Thanks.
All right. Bye, everyone.
All right, thank you.